Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop. Yes. Today's episode, we have a very special guest, and she is going to share her badassery. Oh, I'm so excited. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment. This is a fact, people. If you write down your goals, write them down. That's all you do. You come up with your goals. If you write them down, you are 42% more likely to achieve them than those who don't write their goals down. Now, if you want to increase it even more, if you definitely want to achieve that goal, if you tell a friend, it increases it to 78%. So that is my badassery bestowment. Get yourself an accountability partner. I chose this one today because you all get to hear from one of my accountability partners in the house, well, in her own house. I have the lovely Linda Jordon. Linda Jordon, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me, Jen.
Yay. So let me brag about Linda just real quick here. Before I created RAIN, now I interviewed Melanie Hawk last week, and you'll hear her podcast out there as well. And Melanie did an online course, and I'm the former teacher, and I saw it and I was like, oh, I want to do something like that. What the heck am I going to teach though? And it just was one of those things where I put it on my vision board, wasn't sure what I was going to do. And a couple months after that, my dear friend Linda Jordon, she had a course. It was a John Maxwell course, and it was in the mastermind format. And that's really, truly what got me started on RAIN. And Linda has been such a huge influence to me. I am so lucky that I get to have lunch with her every other week. We are part of an accountability group. We're called Realm, the Real Estate Accountability Ladies and Man, because we ended up adding a guy. So it used to be Real, and then it became Realm because we added a man. So Linda Jordon, she is a certified life coach. She's a certified trainer. She's a coach and speaker with the John Maxwell Team. She is a total badass real estate investor. During the day, she fixes and flips and does wholesales in North Carolina. She also was in corporate America for 27 and a half years. Don't forget that half. I mean, that last half is a killer. She has over 35 years of organizational development, finance, sales operations, human resources, outsourcing experiences. And she has what I love most about her, she has a passion and a gift to help others succeed. And we are going to really dig deep into that today. And she's going to share lots of her talents, and she has some great things going on. So welcome, Linda. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you again for having me. It's a pleasure.
And most important, she's a RAIN member.
Of course. How can you forget that?
That's where the whoop whoop comes from. Tell us a little bit more. I know you have an awesome husband. Tell us the personal stuff. I said all the, you have all these amazing things going on, but tell us about you.
Personal stuff. So first and foremost, I'm a mom and a mother and mom. Good Lord. I'm a mom and a wife. That's how important being a mom is. I'm a mom and a mother. But a wife. But most importantly, I'm a breast cancer survivor of 5 years.
Yay!
5 years. That's very, very exciting. And so from a personal side, that's kind of who I am, and I embrace that. And so as I tell everyone, being a breast cancer patient led me to leave corporate America. So it was a blessing. It wasn't a curse. It was a blessing. So had I not had that, I think I probably would have stayed. I would have continued to work, trying to get that 30 years in. I am also a doctoral candidate at Ashford University, so working on my dissertation, and my deadline now is March 31st, so I can see the end of the path. It's near.
That is awesome. I know, because we have our accountability group, and she's always like, oh, I have to do this for my dissertation. I'm like, what? Huh? You're getting your doctoral degree on top of everything? She is unstoppable, folks. Unstoppable. So
my husband says the suicide.
And we love James. So, and how long have you been married?
28 years.
Oh my. And you have one daughter.
One daughter. Yep. She's 26. And yeah, so she's on her own. And so we're empty nesters and enjoying
chickens.
that.
I know we both have chickens.
We both have chickens.
Yes.
And and I forgot, I work with Cornell University, so I facilitate diversity and inclusion courses for their certification program.
Wonderful. All right. I want to talk to you about, because you've been an influence to me about rental properties, and you have such great nuggets. I'm not going to say them all, but let's go to the beginning. How did you get started in rental properties?
Sure. So it was an unusual situation, but I got started by my neighbor. She was an elderly lady, and she lived with her granddaughter, her granddaughter lived with her. However, her children weren't very close. So she became ill, and her granddaughter went off to military, and my husband and I kind of adopted her. Since she's next door, we would cook, and I'd go over and, chat with her. We sit on the porch, and, our grandparents were deceased. And so she was a very lovely older lady. And so we just loved talking with her. So over time, her illness progressed, and she needed to go into a nursing home. She didn't want to do that. And we didn't really want her to leave us either, because we really loved and cherished her being our neighbor. So one day when I was over, she said, Linda, she says, would you be interested in purchasing my property so I could rent from you and I won't have to go to a nursing home? And I thought, that's a pretty cool idea, but I don't know if I could do that. Where am I going to get the money from to buy it, first of all? So fast forward, my husband and I figured out how we were going to make this happen. Unfortunately, she passed away the week before closing.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was really, really sad. However, her children, of course, when they came, they were just looking for the money. They were like, yep, we'll sign the paperwork. Boom, you can have the property. We don't want anything. And so I still have that property today, and I keep it the way that she always wanted it to be. So we remodeled it, and she always wanted to maintain a garden in the backyard because her husband always had a garden in the backyard. So it's one of my very first rentals. I still have it, and I always have good tenants that want to stay there and, raise their children there. So that's how I got started. And that process really helped me learn what I needed to know in some aspects of how to continue helping others in the community. So that's really what made me invest in doing rental properties.
And this, by the way, so you still have this, and it's right next door to you?
Yes.
So you have a good eye on your renters there. So
oh, absolutely. Which are owners.
Future owners, yes.
Future owners.
So one thing, one of the first times I heard you speak at one of our local meetup groups was, you're taught to do certain things, and you should bring in a certain amount per door. You broke all those rules, and you have a system where you just, I feel like you start small. And is it $100 per door? Is that what you said?
$100, right.
Okay. So $100 per door to get started, but explain why that's only in the beginning and how that changes.
Well, in my mind, my philosophy is, treat others the way you like to be treated. And my parents were the ones who, taught me that particular learning. And so I carry it with me all the time. And so I used to be a tenant once upon a time. And so those learnings I carried into my business. So for me, I wanted to make sure that I was able to provide a home for individuals who are looking for a place to rent, but also provide a reasonable amount of rent that wouldn't break the bank for them.
Right.
And so my goal was, if I got $100 net out of that transaction, then I'm okay with that. And then over time, you can increase it with longevity when people stay with you or things of that nature. So that was my initial goal, is to at least, if I can net $100, then I'm good.
Because when you pay down the house, then that $100 is starting to grow because you don't have a mortgage payment that you're paying anymore.
Right. That $100 then becomes that full $800, $900, or whatever that rent is,
Exactly.
Of course, minus taxes and insurance, but that continuously grows. And that's one thing that I want to make sure that people that are listening, that are thinking about doing rental properties, that's someone who's basically paying your mortgage. And over time, you will see that investment increase. And a lot of times people forget about that.
So what about the house next door? Do you own that outright now?
Just about.
Oh my goodness. That's
Yeah.
awesome. How long have you had that property next door?
I started in 2004.
Okay.
So yeah, it's about another 4 or 5 years on it. And it's just been a total blessing.
And so you also fix and flip. Your husband is a general contractor. So even when you make some large profits from that, do you put that more into rentals, or how do you fund these rentals?
So when I first started, the first probably 8 years, I was in the 2007, 2008, when people were selling. Well, I was buying. Because at that particular time, it was a great opportunity. So what I did was I utilized my bonus money that I would get from work every year. The company would, pay a bonus. Instead of spending it, I put it aside and I used that as my down payment for my rental properties. And so I continued utilizing that money over and over again throughout the time so that I could, invest wisely. And so that's how I was able to accumulate my first 9 in less than 5 years.
So you then took that idea and turned it into a business. And now you help stressed out corporate America professionals, and you teach them how to jump ship. They can leave their corporate America job. This is part of your coaching business.
Well, it starts with having a plan. And when I was in corporate America, my staff always says, "Why do you have so many plans? There's an A, B, C, and D." And I have plans, or had plans, because you never know what life is going to bring to you. So each of my plans would incorporate, what if, there was a downsizing, or what if I got sick? So real estate investing was always a component, a very large component of that strategy. And so for me, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, it was a no-brainer. I already had a plan in place so that I could walk away, feel good about it, and still, be able to have my normal lifestyle. So I think it's important for people to realize that, just because you have a 9 to 5 doesn't mean that you're locked in and there's no way that you can leave. You can take your funds that you're putting aside in your 401k plan or your IRA and put it into what's called a self-directed IRA, so that you can use that to create passive income. And that's really what I did later on. And so it has just worked out extremely well. And, I'm able to now have a lot more flexibility, a lot less stress. When I was in corporate, I was on blood pressure medication because, my heart rate was just going so crazy. There was so much stress going on. Now, 5 years later, no more blood pressure medication. So life is really good for me, breast cancer free. And I basically enjoy my tenants, or my future owners. I really enjoy managing those properties because I get to know people as opposed to knowing them as a tenant. I know them as individuals.
And you keep saying future owner. So what does that mean?
So that means everyone that pays rent will not always remain a tenant. They have hopes and desires and dreams that one day they will own their own home. So my goal is I help them understand the importance of, keeping the house the way as if they owned it, I guess, for lack of better words. So when it comes to like something very simple, like changing the air filter, we have a conversation, and it's also in my lease around the importance of doing that. If you want to maintain, a good central heating and air system, you need to change the filters on a quarterly basis. So having those actual conversations as if they are a homeowner helps them understand how they can maintain the property, as well as, still be the tenant, but they have some sense of ownership. They take pride in living in your home. And therefore, when they run into a situation such as what we're in right now, COVID, if there's something going on, I can work with them when it comes to them saying, maybe I'm going to be a little bit late on the rent. I'm okay with that because we've built that relationship, that trust. And so I know that they will get caught up and pay on time. Wonderful. So that's the key for me.
And do they ever purchase homes from you?
I have not had one yet, but I do have one. Actually, I have two who are getting their plans together to make a purchase. They're a young couple, and they have small children, and they love where they live. They're in a lovely community. There's a backyard. There's a front yard. The kids can go play on the swings, and they really want to get themselves prepared to make that purchase. And so my goal is to help them get there.
Awesome. So going back to the coaching, and you teach people who are in corporate America. So then you teach them how to get rentals and how they can make their own mailbox money. What is the structure like? What is the coaching? Do you meet with them monthly? Is it an online group? How does that work?
So that is a individual coaching one-to-one, but I'm also working on a group coaching so that people can come together and really talk about best practices. Individually, yes, I would meet with them one-on-one twice a month. When we first started, the first 30 days would be every week, but depending upon what package that they purchase. So if someone were to purchase a 6-month package, then we would meet twice a month. And we would go to look at, first of all, discover what are their hopes and dreams, what are their passions, figure what their goals are, and then we'll work on a plan to figure out, is it 6 months that they want to leave corporate? Is it 3 months? And then work that plan to then incorporate what their strategy is to incorporate their first rental property. And then I'll work with them to make sure that they can get that accomplished.
And how do they sign up for this coaching? How does that work?
So they sign up by going to my website, which is lindajordon.com, Jordon, no A. And they'll request schedule time with me. So there's a 30-minute free consultation, which is called your Jump Ship discovery session. And after that, we'll figure out what the next steps are.
So you teach them to replace their salary, but let's talk about the passion. How do you help them discover their passion? So now they can leave corporate America, but what are they going to do with their time?
So everyone has a passion. You start your 9 to 5, that's what you do because that's how you pay your bills. But everyone deep down has a passion for what they truly want to do in life. For example, for me, I always thought I was going to be an accountant. Don't know why, but I always said I wanted to be an accountant. I started college, and that's what I, majored in for 2 years. And then I realized, oh my gosh, it's boring. So having that conversation with those individuals to really figure out what is it that they truly want to do. Just because you're working a 9 to 5 and I was in corporate, being a director, I loved my job, but that wasn't what I truly loved. That wasn't my passion. My passion, of course, is helping others find their skills and talents and their hopes and dreams. So we have those discussions with those individuals to really figure out what is it. There's also the opportunity to go through what's called I have an entrepreneurial impact report. And so they'll complete that impact report to determine, what are some skill sets that they need or they currently have that will help them be a better business owner. as well as another report we will do, which is called Discus, around communication skills and styles, to determine, if they're going to get into this business and maybe have staff, what's the best way to communicate and understand how people learn and how they interpret certain communication styles. Everyone learns differently. So those are a couple of tools that I would use to help people understand their passion, understand, what their next steps are, and help them get to where they want to be.
That is awesome. And I'm so lucky to have you as a personal friend. You have so much positivity and you help people. So talking about that positivity, I know something that you do daily, I think it is. I want you to share it as your badassery bestowment. And I love this idea. I asked her if she could use this as hers. So tell us about your badassery bestowment.
So my badassery bestowment is, every week I take time to write down what am I grateful for or thankful for. And I put it on a sticky note and I place it in the jar. I start this January 1 of every year, and I don't open the jar until New Year's Eve. And that's basically starting the new year. But I do that because, we've all got so much going on in the world today, and we don't think about the little components of life that bring us hope and joy. And I just wanted to make sure I captured each week, what am I grateful or thankful for? And then it's fun to open it up a year later and read them. And then as I read them, I post them on a poster board so I can reflect upon, what I've been grateful for and blessed to have that previous year.
Because gratitude, sometimes it's hard to pull it out of you.
It's hard to pull it out. So you really have to dig deep and think about it. Oftentimes people think about, having money or having a nice car. To me, those are not components of being grateful. It's friends like you. It's, family. It's the ability to wake up in the morning and get yourself dressed and things like that, that I'm truly grateful for. And having the opportunity to spend time with you every 2 weeks, totally grateful. So things like that is what I write down that are blessings that money cannot buy.
That is so true. And it's abundance, abundance comes to mind, of having, just like you said, to me, having a fancy car, having, all the money things, abundance to me is having the right people in my life and the right experiences. And I love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why you're my soul sister. We look like twins. I know you guys can't see the video, but all right.
Sister from another mother.
There you go. So sticking with badass, I like to go through my badass acronym. Is it acronym? Is that the right word? Am I saying the right thing?
Acronym, yeah.
Acronym. Oh my goodness. I don't know why. So I just got off the plane from Cabo. So my brain is still floating a little bit along with my liver. So, all right. So my acronym for badass, we have our B. Linda, tell us a book in your life that made a huge difference.
Well, that's an easy one. The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. And I pulled it out today to just reflect upon it. And when I read that book, it was just amazing. It was one of those books that I could not stop reading. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, I hate reading.
Yes.
And, because I read so much from an educational perspective. But it was a book that I could not stop reading. And it was, talking about, why are we here on earth? What is our passion? What is our hopes and our dreams? And how do you get to achieve them? There's some things that you have to do. But yeah, that book just totally put me in a whole different mindset and made me stop and think about, what is it that I want to do? How do I want to make a difference in someone else's life?
I love it. And then now you pull that out of people as you're getting ready for them to jump ship and you're helping them find their purpose in life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, people probably, there's so much going on. People forget about, that it's okay for them to do what they love, not do what you have to do. Work what you find a job that you love doing. It's painful for people to go to work and they hate a particular job. It's just, right. It's grueling. And they may be successful financially, but they won't be grateful for, anything else, because it's just a 9 to 5. And, that's why people leave jobs a lot of times, is because of the organization, the leadership there that doesn't help them see what their passions are. They're all about metrics.
Right. All right. The first A in badass is advice. So you gave us a great piece of advice to really build on your positivity and what you're grateful for, and put it in a jar, and it just builds throughout the year. So I'm curious, what is the best piece of advice you ever received?
So I believe I said it earlier, but it was from my parents, and they said, always, no matter what you do, where you are, you treat people the way that you want to be treated. And I've done that my entire life. And I think about that all the time, because it's something that reflects who you are as an individual. So that's my mantra. And I have taught my daughter to do the same. Just because you may not like something, don't say it, because if you don't want someone to say something mean or rude to you, then don't do it to them, regardless of what the situation is.
I love
so
it.
If you don't have anything positive to say, don't say it at all.
Awesome. And this just, is shown in how you treat your tenants and applies to everything that you do in life.
Yes, it does.
All right. So the D in badass is drive. What drives you to be successful?
Well, of course, my family, my daughter, Jamie, and my husband, James, those are the two that drive me the most. When I became a mom, I put on a different hat. I mean, I don't know, that's the only way I can explain it. But that sense of responsibility, that sense of urgency to get things done, because being a mom, my whole thought is, what if something were to happen? I wanted to make sure that I had things in place. I had situations in place so that, if God forbid, if something were to happen to me, that my daughter would never have to struggle in life the way that I did, that she would have some form of income set aside so that, she could live a better life than what I had, and not have to struggle as much. And so when I started doing rental properties, it was just like a perfect marriage. Although she's not so crazy about being the landlord type thing, but that's the main reason that keeps me going, that drives me to be the best that I can be, is, making sure that I have everything prepared for my husband and my daughter if something were to happen to me.
Well, they're very lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Yes. The second A is aspiration. And I am big about goal setting, and I am always curious what these badasses that I get to interview, what is a goal that you are currently working on?
Well, my goal, which right now has been a marathon, not a sprint, my dissertation. So most people probably say, what the heck is she doing a dissertation for? Well, I started it when I was in corporate America. And my thing is, when I start something, by God, I'm going to finish it. So I am on the last year of my dissertation, which is a PhD in organizational development and leadership, which ties nicely with what I do. But my dissertation is actually on how business owners / real estate investors use intuition in their everyday decision making.
Oh.
So there's a sort of a little marriage going on there and what I do, and then talking about real estate investors. So that's my goal, and my end date is close. It's March 31st of 2021.
Yay. I know a lot of times when we have our goal, when we set goals for our accountability group, there's a lot of dissertation stuff going on there. So I've been hearing about this, and I'm proud of you for working your ass off on that. So that's amazing.
Well, thank you. It's trust me, it's tough. That's all I can say.
I have no desire ever. The first S in badass is systems. I am always curious that these badass people that I interview, what are systems that you have in place that help you to achieve success?
Well, that's a great question. When I first started, I had no systems at all. It was a spreadsheet, and that was kind of it.
A spreadsheet.
That was the only system I had. But hey, it worked. Over time, I have gotten so much better and much more professional. So for the real estate side of the business, I use CRMs for both.
And
which
tell our listeners exactly what a CRM is.
It's a contact resource management system, and it allows you to house your clients or your customer into a database that has their information, and you can follow up with them. So it's time and date stamped. You can log in when you've had a conversation, or if it's real estate, when you've made an offer, and you can stretch it out for 30, 60, 90 days when to follow up with them. From the coaching side of the business, it's a different CRM system, but it does something very, very similar. So it allows when people come to my website, they can opt in, and then when they become a client, there is a login page for them to enter in, and they get access to other information that non-clients do not. But it tracks everything, every conversation. It's great for billing. It also tracks, when I can post things, when I should post on my website, sending out emails, all those metrics and statistics. So having a management tool or a system is something that every business owner does need to have, because if you go back to what I said earlier with the spreadsheet, it's crazy. I mean, it's hard to do. It's suicide. But, you start small, and starting small with a spreadsheet is not a bad thing. It's, when you get things to a different level and you need to put in some more professional systems in place, then that's the appropriate thing to do.
Now, is this a CRM that you created, or is this one that was already in place that you use?
So both were systems that I purchased. So no, I didn't create anything like that. So from a technology standpoint, that's not my skill set. So it was easy for me to buy versus to create something.
Do you want to share what that is, or do you know?
So the one for coaching is, it's called Coach's Console. And it's as I said, a CRM or contact resource management system that a lot of coaches around the world use. It's designed for them specifically, so that you can track your clients and know when your calls, your sessions are, and people can schedule their appointments with you, and it links directly into your Google or Outlook, whichever calendar you use. But there's a whole lot of metrics that make it just very easy for a coach to just pull up and know what their client base looks like.
Great.
From the real estate side, it was purchased. It's a proprietary system that I use. So you have to be in the franchise in order to have access to it.
Are you allowed to share what franchise you're in?
So I am with Home Investors of America, which is on the fix and flip side of my business. Yes. So I've been there for...
That's the little caveman, right?
Yes. The We Buy Ugly Houses people. Yeah. Yes.
And I just started a new CRM myself, and it's through carrot.com, which is we were using ClickFunnels. Linda and I both have had nightmares dealing with ClickFunnels.
Yeah.
So I had it switched over to carrot.com, and then it comes with a CRM that is awesome. Love it. And it's specifically just for real estate investors.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a nice one. All right. So the last one in badass, the last S, is success. What does success mean to you? Because you, to me, are so crazy successful. And anything you touch turns to gold. So I am curious, what does success mean to you?
I really had to think about that. What does success mean to me? Because I don't think about it as success. And I know a lot of people say, well, you are successful, but I don't see it that way. I see success as if I have a goal and I'm able to achieve the goal, but most importantly, I'm able to share some of my learnings with other people. And to me, that's success, when someone can learn from me and then put it into practice, and then they become successful. So when that actually happens, then to me, I'm successful.
I love it. And so as we're wrapping this up here, so you only work with local people?
No, I work with anyone that has a hope and desire to jump ship.
Okay. I love it. Jump ship. One more time, it's www.lindajordon.com, lindajordon.com. And they can go there and go through your website. And what are the next steps for them to reach out to you to get some coaching from you?
Sure. So on the right side of the screen, halfway down, they'll see a little link to schedule a 30-minute free consult with me.
A free consult?
A free 30-minute consult.
Very nice. And so then in that consult, you go through their corporate America situation or whatever their situation is. They don't necessarily have to be in corporate America. They just want to jump ship from whatever situation they're currently in.
Right. So that's why it's called a discovery call. So it gives me time to get a better understanding of where they're coming from and where they want to go.
I love it. You are so amazing. I'm so lucky to call you friend. So thank you, Linda, and everyone that's listening. That is all. Thank you. And we hope to catch you on the next episode. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.